trying to raise my,
Nope. You-
no, I was just trying to
Working
get
on
my
your chair.
chair up. Oh, well, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I think it's down in front. Can I get a motion then to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
All right, we'll approve the April meeting. The April minutes are approved. I'm going to move forward. Oh, great question. No Kristen Osterwood.
I'll track the.
Will you?
yeah,
Thank
the
you.
motions and the
Thank you,
general
yeah.
gist
I just,
in the event that
I'm
she's
so
not
used to her
able to.
writing away and without even happening. So we'll have to, okay, and I've got some notes here and I can share with you after as well. So some action items from the prior April minutes. One of the things that we were soliciting were video suggestions for the Alewife Film Festival. And I think it was you, Jackie, that put forward 3 to Chetna, is that right?
Yeah, at least 3 of them that from the list she sent out. Yeah.
Great. I did get a chance to kind of buzz through those real quick. They look great. I think one element that's a bit of a challenge for us right now is venue. So I do want to come back and revisit the films, but I think I want to move film selection behind venue, because otherwise Walter's going to have to go to my house or something. I don't know, or watch movies. So it won't be quite the same. I know we were looking into the town hall. Did we have any feedback? I think Bob was looking into that with Chetna, or you were?
Parks and Rec arranges the schedule for town hall.
Yes.
And Greg has been out, so I haven't spoken with him.
Okay.
But as long as I did check the calendar, I can view the calendar, and I didn't see a conflict.
Okay.
So I would imagine as long as there's no issue with conflict,
Okay.
it could be a potential.
Yeah, and I think, and that's something, because time is absolutely of the essence, we'll have to see if we can get to some sort of agreement on that, but hopefully by week's end,
Yeah.
this week, so before, honestly, I think if we push past Friday, it would be very difficult to get any kind of communication together before and through the festival to even announce that we're having any film at all.
Right.
So I'll make a note to that effect as well, to follow up with Greg. Is he away on vacation, or is he away?
No, he was on sick leave.
Okay. And is anyone picking up his stuff, his work in his
There-
absence?
I might be able to get someone from staff over there. I
Okay.
think two of the 4 staff were out.
Oh, boy. Okay, I imagine right now that's how it works,
So
right?
I'll make an offer. I can reach out to whomever tomorrow
Okay.
and see if there's any conflict. I'm not a voting member of the committee, so I can send you an email and just let you know that it's a yes or no.
Okay.
And if it's a no, then we'll have to hit Plan B, but if there's nothing in the calendar, I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
I
a
did.
conflict, but I will see to that first thing in the morning.
That'd be great. Okay.
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah, I think that's right now, with PEA, obviously not holding any gatherings because of COVID, certainly understandable, but that's really our only Plan B. There's no Plan C. So if that works out, great. If it doesn't, well, it'll just be a casualty of the pandemic. So, but that'd be wonderful. Thanks for doing that.
Get back to you.
Which brings us back to, if we get a space, what will we watch? So we had a couple of interesting things put forward, including an Exeter Outdoors Getting Out in the River film, a short one but a good one, a film about a climate change film, what does it mean for New Hampshire, and then a New Hampshire coastal flood risk summary. But there's certainly room for more. Most of the films are relatively short. The climate change New Hampshire impact film is the longest at 9 minutes. I would certainly agree that a 2-hour feature would be a bit much, but certainly there's room for more. Chetna had forwarded an organization you had some great success with called oceangeneration.org. And they actually have been, they've raised some, I guess you just had a yoga session, yoga fundraiser for them, and had great success, and they're receptive to letting other organizations use their film resource. So I would love to see somebody raise their hand here to dive into that and see if they could come up with a little bit. Have you been to oceanaction.org or no?
No, but I can check it out.
Okay, yeah, so I'll forward that link, take a look there. Even if we only come up with one or two more, I think it's just gonna make for a little more, inviting 45 minutes of film watching and all that.
Unless they do it on a, like a rotating.
Oh, yeah, we
when
could-
you go into a museum.
Oh,
you
sure,
sit-
yeah.
It just keeps playing.
Yeah, that was, you missed the beginning, wait 8 minutes, you watch it,
Right.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they're very short.
Yeah, really.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, we should take a look at doing that as well. Because I think we were requesting to do, I have to go back to the request on that, but it was a couple of hours worth of time block that we were looking for. I realize there's setup time and preparation time, but yeah. Yeah, 4 to 6, okay.
So you're looking, when I get a hold of Senator Benoit, you're looking for the town hall access from,
4 p.m. to 6 p.m., or I'd say 3:30 from an access setup perspective.
what do you say, 3?
Yeah, that'd be great.
3 to
3 to
7?
6, yeah, 3 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be more than we need, so that'd be fantastic.
All right, and who should Greg or whomever contact for the permit?
You can contact me, I'm happy to take care of
All
it.
right.
Thank you for doing that.
permits. And it might be easier for me to just contact him tomorrow.
If he's not,
Yeah.
if he's there. Yeah, he may not be there.
And then do we need to coordinate anything with like the AV, whatever they call it now? The
Yeah,
AV
it
equipment,
was
but-
AV Club when we were kids, yeah.
Kidding myself.
I had some notes that, it's okay, I had a My Three Sons joke earlier today that only 2 of us got, so. I think Chetna had been in discussions with Bob about,
Yeah,
the
Bob would,
said
yeah.
Yeah.
be the-
Exist,
right.
so
so he was apparently,
the
And he's
challenge was just
available, but-
settling
oh.
on the movies.
Okay.
yep. And then obviously, the other significant portion of that from our committee's perspective is not just the film selection and securing the venue space, but also, we had talked the last 2 meetings about having a table at the AOI Festival, which does a few different things. Certainly, we can talk about some of the other agenda items and some of the other things we like to talk about, but also, it'd be a great place to promote getting people to go up to the film opportunity later on. So we can certainly, take that up offline, but I'd love to see what kind of, time commitment we can get from each of us a little bit during the festival for a little bit of a table time, booth time. I don't know that we've looked into things like, I'm assuming it's going to be an absolutely beautiful day. It will be an absolutely beautiful day.
Right.
But just in case it's not, we'll have to come up with a tent or something like that, or a lot of good umbrellas to stand there and talk about things, so.
Yeah, we do have a rain date scheduled so it's scheduled from 9 to 1 on Saturday, May 14th, with a rain date, May 21st.
Oh, okay, I
I'm
didn't know.
really
May
hoping
what,
we-
the rain day?
May 21st, the very
21.
following Saturday. But there's another event that weekend, so rather than lose people to splitting them between events, I hope.
Oh, we're
for
just going to have good
sunshine.
weather, yes, exactly.
Or just no rain.
Just no
Let's go.
rain.
Chris, before you leave are you about to leave the alewives? I had a question or a comment or something about it. I had 2 ladies from Watertown visit here because they're thinking of taking the dam out down there. So they looked at where our dam was taken out, and then we went up to Pickpocket, and they saw what the dam might have looked like, similar, anyway. Well, I was shocked to see that the fish ladder out there is 10 feet, 12 feet above the water level. The fish ladder, I don't see how it could possibly be used at this point. And if they jump, it's a considerable jump. I really wonder whether they can jump up into the Pickpocket water now.
So the fish ladder is actively maintained by New Hampshire Fish and Game. Fish can access the fish ladder, and then it's a series of steps for them, so they jump and rest and jump and rest.
But if you look,
and
if you
that-
look at the fish ladder, it's so far out of water on the side, there's no way they could go through it.
But I think there's an entrance on the side as well.
Okay, so
on
there's
the-
some other,
If you're on the left side, if you're
yeah,
facing.
okay.
Yeah. But they monitor the fish ladder. If they can't get in, then no one's trapped. But ideally, we have enough water level. That would be awful if we didn't.
Well,
But
water
they do
levels
check
have
the
been
fish.
normal or above it this spring, so,
They do check the fish ladder daily, because
really?
it's kind
Daily?
of it's a trap. It's
Yeah.
set up as a trap at this
Okay.
point, because that's our only location to get fish numbers. It's really important that we do get accurate numbers there. They had a camera system, but it didn't work very well, and so now they check them daily.
Okay, that's exciting. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
And they'll be at the ALY Festival with fish in hand, so you can meet our native little swimmers.
That's fantastic. Any other questions or comments on either ALY Festival involvement, volunteering, or film comments or questions? Okay.
I guess I just have a question for the committee, and that's if there's materials that you would like for me to have available or information that you want there, I'm willing to help and can coordinate with one or two of you, and maybe we can work it that way to avoid quorum issues, but I'm available to help in any way.
Are we still working with the Exeter Academy, with the Academy students for the junk mail?
That somehow did not make tonight's agenda, so that's a great question. I can reach back out to Chetna, who's coordinating that, I
Yeah.
believe, to see if that's still happening. Do we know when their school year's up?
For the academy, I don't.
It's usually late May, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
wonder if, I hope it doesn't time out before we, I'll make a note to follow up.
It's been a little bit now, but there was coordination
Yeah,
with the
I remember.
ladies who presented, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
they were planning to do the junk mail presentation, so my assumption is that's still moving forward.
Great. And yes, I think one of the things that will come up is, one of the things we want to talk about when we get to our next actual item is number 5, the single-use plastic document. One of the discussions would be, is that an appropriate time if this committee is comfortable with the language in the clean document you presented? Is that a good opportunity at the AOI Festival to garner some early public comment on that, or early public feedback on that?
Yeah, it's not a bad, I
mean,
think so.
Yeah, it would be, a dozen different ways to think about doing it, but print a couple extra large copies to read, or, so we'd have to create more waste and pass it around, but literally just take some feedback. And even come up with a Google form and an iPad people could make comments on, or submit some things like that could help. I'm curious what everybody's comments or thoughts were on that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, no, I think that is a great idea. I think we need to think a little bit about how we're gonna, we don't have much time, right? But are we gonna create, like, old school poster, or like you said, are we gonna be able to create something digitally that people can look at? We don't wanna necessarily create handouts, paper
Don't wanna make no
handouts,
handouts,
unless
yeah.
we have a recycling bin
Yeah,
there, but, or something like a QR, I don't know if we could, even, that might be too much to do right now, but, quick QR code and then bring some information, or,
Well, I think we can do a couple different things pretty easily, quickly, environmentally, and affordably. QR code is certainly, it's free and easy to do.
Yeah.
We'd have to find a place on a website or a place to park this document, so to drive a QR code to it, so it needs a URL address. Doesn't need to be a public URL address, it just needs to be an address. We certainly can go old school and go to Staples and just knock out a big
Right.
printed copy and have it laminated and tape it to a table. I mean, it's
yeah, but nobody would read that, right? Do you
true.
think?
Well, I mean,
Or if
the-
we highlight certain aspects
Yeah.
on a poster or something, I don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think the value of having it printed in some
Yeah.
form is that,
They can see it.
yeah, my fear is that a QR code will get scanned and like, it'll look like, oh boy, a big legal document. Well, there's fish over there, you're not gonna walk out, we're gonna lose our audience,
Right.
But to have an opportunity to have people actually read some of the language and make comment My thinking was, yeah, either an iPad or a laptop someplace or a place on the town website that, I don't know what our capabilities are to even have a leave a comments page. Doesn't
So
need,
we could create a form, a Google form that people would submit their comments in. She wasn't an intern, sorry, the woman who helped me refine the language last time, she put together a draft survey that I believe Chetna sent out. It was basically some general questions about, targeted more at vendors and how they would, how a single-use plastics policy would affect their business in what ways. So, what do you use for single-use plastic materials? And if things were readily available, would you be willing to switch? And things like that. So we could, I would be happy, again, to maybe work with an individual offline to, if you trust one of you or something to work with me to refine a survey, I can get it up, available through the town website, and then we can certainly print off a QR code. What some of the other committees are doing are printing a single version of whatever document they're wanting to share, say a native plant landscaping plant layout, and then a QR code with it, so people have the visual, but then they're also directed to a website. So that's kind of how some of the other committees are managing that.
yeah, it strikes me, that's great. That's a wonderful way to do it. I'm thinking about the document and putting it in front of a reasonable number of people, maybe, and again, it's a difficult document to take highlights from, but maybe making something visual that just has a couple of the critical highlights. Did you know Exeter is considering a single-use plastic, a single-use container policy? Here are a couple of key features. Here's the QR code to see the whole document, or whatever, or visit this, to see the whole document, and then there's a place to give your feedback. I'm just thinking that if the objective is to have as many people drinking in as possible and come up with some thoughts on it, if that's really the objective, then yeah, maybe that's and I like what the other committees are doing. That's a great idea. I guess Chetna was probably heading it up before. I can either tag team with her or reach out to you directly, Kristen, and work together to get that to the finish line.
That's fine.
Okay.
Speaking of plastics, we're talking about plastics. I have started to send out once a month an actual email address where you can get a substitute for a certain plastic article. The first one I sent out was for laundry sheets, because they eliminate the plastic jugs if you use, and they're very convenient and easy to use. So I sent them the actual email site. I got permission from Riverwoods because I wasn't sure about that. And I sent them the actual email site so they could just click on that and order it, and it would come, good old Amazon, it would come. And then this month, we're sending out a green plant-based, well, actually corn-based waste paper liner, and the address where you can get that online and order it. So it's very easy to order. I don't know how many people do it, but
That's interesting.
that's what we're doing.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to have sample products, alternative products.
I have
there that
some,
can have those things.
Of these things, if you were interested in having them at the, I'm not sure whether I can get there. I'll have to have a ride to get down there, but other than that.
And I printed out something the other day. I own a retail business, and I get a lot of packaged products sent to me. And one of my vendors keeps sending those awful styrofoam peanuts. So anyway, I looked up alternative packaging, and I found a nice list and a nice website. So something like that I could also share for some of our collateral.
I'd even like to come back to, and again, one of those easy things to do. I think DPW would love it if we could do it, is even if we just have it taped to our table, is what is allowed in recycling and what, you know, I know we've
yeah.
published it on the, it's on the website, there's a list. But like we know, it's just, everybody's busy and they can't always get there, just to be able to do that and just, you know, just the 125 plastic and some of the other things that are allowed and not allowed, I think would be a good service to do for the town.
So Tricia from Public Works they are having a table, and one of the displays that she'll have is her Recycle Right campaign that you may have seen at town election day. She's modifying
Yeah.
it a little so it won't blow away, and it's taking pictures of the items to the table.
Yeah.
But, so that would be a great way to sort of
Reinforce it,
that.
absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be grateful if you would share with me her email and I
Yeah.
could, yeah, that'd be great. Recycle Right. And I apologize, I can't do two things at once. Let me just type this.
We also have poster boards for Mr. Fox, or that clothing recycling program that we've been talking about.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tricia's
yeah.
bringing those.
Okay.
Okay, great. So that'll be within their,
Okay, that's
within their
helpful.
space? Super cool.
And that's getting a lot of, I mean, that's, the textile recycling is really picking
Yeah.
up. I mean,
That's great.
nice to see.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna grow and grow as more and more people learn about it. It's such a great program. That's
And you
wonderful.
see, DPW have posted on their Facebook page, but I'm starting to see now in the last month, like people are sharing it, people are asking questions, so I mean, it's really picking up.
That's so wonderful.
Speed, it's nice to see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Do we have a
That's
table that could highlight some of the recent upgrades that the town has undertaken at the wastewater treatment facility? I mean, town's won awards. I'm just wondering if there's like, you know, some sort of display that you could put out with those plaques to kind of highlight the achievements that the town has made.
I mean,
Old water,
Check
new
with
water.
Matt.
do a table.
And there was I thought it was really entertaining, but this stuff is kind of fun for me, but there is a really cool movie about the wastewater treatment plant upgrades.
That's right.
So that could be
You
something
know,
that
that should be in
can
our,
go.
that should be in our,
Should
oh,
put it
yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's the keeper of that film? I know it was on Exeter TV.
Yeah, we can get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to our list. That one's actually pretty good. I actually liked it. See, we just grew our film list by one. That's great. Let's see.
Matt Berube is coming to our June meeting, and I think he might be bringing that
Great.
as part of his, he's going to talk with us about water and sewage.
So we did kind of get the cart in front of the horse on that one, and we said, you know, if everyone on the committee found the language in the clean document applicable and approvable to move forward, would we do that? So it brings me back to the top of that. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to take a look at both the edited version and sort of the cleaned up with all the tracking removed. Any comments? Open that up for commenting with Kristen and Nico on that.
I can just do kind of a general overview
That'd be
of some of the
fantastic.
major changes that we've made. So based on your recommendation, we had some discussions about how does this apply to food products and all of that. So I revised this now to basically talk about, I just lost it, but single use, hang on, bear with me. Single-use disposables, sorry, there it is, it's right there at the bottom of the page. And so when I did that, that sort of made the rest of the document so much easier. It seemed to flow better, in my opinion. It was more simpler, easier to understand. So the purpose we edited to clarify that it's single-use plastics on town property. Let's see. The definitions, we no longer needed the compost facility because we're not requiring, the committee was not in favor of requiring the vendors to provide that. The opinion was it was punitive, which is great, so that eliminated it. Reusable bags are defined, single-use compostable food service products, so that's more general. There was some question of does that apply to forks, and do we have to list out straws and all of that? So by generalizing them as food products, it read a little easier, but still, as long as it was polylactic acid, it was pretty clear what we were referring to. Single-use plastic bags. To me, this was a, I don't know, game day decision that I made because we weren't requiring compostable facilities. It seemed a little weird to include paper product, to require a certain percentage of post-consumer product sourced paper bag in to qualify it as reusable. So I just said, why are we talking about paper bags in a plastic policy? I understand that there is an environmental footprint associated with paper bags, but I'm not sure that it really made sense in here. To me, it seemed more confusing, but I'm happy to hear your thoughts on that. But and then in terms of the other item that we spent a fair amount of time talking about was the penalties. And so I kind of created a 3-tier setup there. So the first one would be a written warning. The second one would be possible refusal of permit issuance. And then the third one was the fine. So it kind of ratcheted up in consequence level. Again, we still have discussions or decisions to make in terms of who is the individual doing the enforcing. But in general, those were the changes that I made, and to me, it makes more sense to kind of follow along on the clean version.
Yeah.
Red line's a little thick.
Yeah, I agree with your post-consumer paper exclusion. I mean, it's starting to kind of make this document overreach what it was designed to do. And yeah, I agree that maybe it's just too much for this one opportunity. What other comments do we have on that? I also think, by the way, so before I leave on that, yeah, I think your enforcement steps are there. I think they're appropriate, and I think that it's also it leaves some margin for people that are just coming to grips with it and doing things on town property. A written warning is a great way to start, right? And it just makes people aware, right? It just brings it to their awareness that they may have not been aware. So I think it's great, and it steps up. So
So I had 3 minor comments.
Yeah.
I'll start with the last one. We're just talking about the penalties. I would just recommend deleting in egregious circumstances, because that leaves too much
To interpretation.
interpretation.
Yep.
The major comment I actually had was exceptions number 1. Town departments, vendors may distribute the remaining inventory, which, absolutely, I think we've talked about that as completely fine, but I think we need a cutoff date.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think it's gotta be, through, depending on when we can potentially have this adopted, through 2022, just so that people aren't claiming, well, I purchase more, or whatever it is. I just think,
Inventory that never.
yeah, exactly, the inventory that never ends. May distribute the remaining inventory, through, 6 months after passage, 9 months after passage, 12 months after passage, something like that. And then, and then just in exceptions number 2, I just thought for clarity purposes, since we already have defined terms, you have containers brought by customers themselves. It may make, just from my perspective, it might read a little bit better if we say prohibited single-use disposables brought by customers or attendees themselves.
yep,
Okay, yep.
And that's all I had, those 3.
that makes good sense.
But otherwise, I thought the simpler version was much better, easier to understand. A regular person, a normal citizen would be able to read this very quickly and say, okay, that I understand what the rules are, and I think this is very well done, so thank you.
Thank you, Portsmouth, I guess.
No, great work
No,
kind of
yeah.
consolidating it.
Yeah,
Really,
it's
it's
much
really
easier to read now, and
super clear. Any further comment on this at all? On the single use? It's got to have a name. Distribution of single use plastics on town property. So I guess at this point, would we like to just have a vote to move forward with this, to present in front of the public with Kristen's help to go ahead and do that to the next step?
I would almost, sorry to interrupt.
No,
but
please.
Just to be sure that the motion captures this. So we do need legal counsel to review this. It's my interpretation that the
Right.
town has authority to regulate what we do through our vendor permitting process, but I'm not a lawyer,
Sure.
so whatever motion you make, should it be to take it to the next step pending legal counsel review.
Pending legal counsel, and we should call this,
Is this going to be an ordinance?
So a town ordinance.
Okay, so, I mean, it would still need to come before the select board for 3 public hearings to allow the public to,
yes.
and the board to, so.
Well, and that
bring
actually
it
speaks
once?
to a really important question about, are we out of line or out of step then, bringing it to the AOI Festival to have the public see it then? Is it a better venue to have?
Yes and no, and I'm glad you asked the question, because I didn't want to interrupt you earlier.
No, yeah.
My only concern is, I think the intent is very good to get public input, because that's how you're gonna make it better. But knowing how folks have reacted recently on other matters, if it's not explained exactly, where it is, it's a draft, it's something considering it's gotta go through legal, public hearings.
Review and all that,
If
yeah.
folks just see this and all of a sudden I can see social media blowing, so we have to be, we have to consider that. First of all, do we want to do it, in 2 weeks? It's a good idea, the intent is great, but
Yeah.
we have to be careful then how we're sending the message, because it could blow up.
Yeah, that just may well not be the right venue at the right time then to do that, for
It's
sure.
just my thought.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
want to be a doubter. but
not
I
at
just-
all. No, I think.
I think it's a very good point.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I just said, I think it's a very good point, and I wouldn't rush having this sent out without, all our i's dotted and t's crossed.
Yeah, agreed. And if,
Because case in point, there's something that, came before the board last month that people had been talking about, people had been handing things out and thinking something was a done deal, and it came before the select, this is the first we were hearing of it. And so we tabled it, and social media, and I don't follow, I intentionally don't follow, but I just don't want to, something that could bring such a positive result for the town, I just don't want to see it blown out.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, no problem at all. I think, yeah, if it's premature, then we should just not pursue it. Yeah, worth the question, is there value at the 10,000-foot highest level to even pose the question to passersby or not? Would you support a single-use plastics ban? But that also might be inflammatory, it might not, maybe there's just not value in bringing that forward, yeah. Yep.
Because I think the value, if you talk to folks, the value is what else can people say, well, this is what we'd like to see, or, maybe things we haven't thought of. So, I mean, it has its positive. You just want to be careful of it.
Or what about present it as like, these are some options that we've been thinking about, kind of thing, rather than providing, a
Well, even if
link
Chris
to
said,
the full
just ask
doc.
the question, like, would you be in favor, and then stress that it's just town, because that's I think where the controversy will
Right.
come. People think that it's the entire town, where it's just.
Right, exactly.
So if you ask the question, how would you feel about a single-use plastic ordinance on town property? And just, general question like that, and then.
Wide open, and you're just asking their opinion, yeah, it's not a crazy idea. Thoughts?
I agree with Nick. Nick.
Do you want to craft a motion? See if that's-
Sure.
Are you looking to move that tonight, or did you want to?
No,
make the corrections, or?
I think definitely what we'd want to move tonight is, if we're, as a committee, comfortable with the language here, to move that forward to have Kristen take it to the next steps for review, and just, so I guess I'd look for a motion for that. recognize that this is a draft document for this town ordinance, and let's put this in a motion that would make sense.
What's the next exact step is?
Presumably with
So-
Mr. Russ,
Yeah,
and he'll
present it to
present it
legal
to the
counsel.
town council. If there are no issues from town council, then it would go on a select board agenda as a discussion item for a public hearing. We hold 3 public hearings,
Yep.
and after the third public hearing, the board votes whether to approve it as an ordinance.
So then would the motion be that, that we, as a committee, agree that this should proceed to the next step of submitting to town council, or to town manager and town council, and then upon approval of that to the board?
That sounds good to me.
So so the motion for the minutes was for the Sustainability Advisory Committee to approve the draft single-use plastic ordinance on town property to the town manager and legal counsel for ultimate presentation to the select board for 3 public hearings. You made the motion.
Correct, so moved.
Somebody can second it, and then you all have to vote.
Can I get a
Second it?
Okay.
There's a motion and a second.
And those in favor,
All those in
Aye.
favor?
say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
5-0.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Moving on, I'll clear that. The next thing on the agenda was other business. I had a note, but I wanted to put it out there. Did anybody else have other business to bring forward?
I just had a question for you all. Some people from my work next week are coming to Exeter to just like pick up trash for a few days or for a few hours. Do you all have suggestions of like areas in town that are particularly
Sadly.
trash?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long a list do you want?
No, I know, but I have a couple ideas, but I didn't know if anyone else had other thoughts.
How many people?
We're thinking like 10.
So the Linden Street at the juncture, it's almost right across from, I would say from the junction of I always confuse Larry and Gary Lane, sorry, Gary Lane.
Okay.
Gary Lane to basically SST is pretty tremendously trashed.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a wet pool there, so if you want, I could probably arrange to get some pickers for you guys, and trash bags from Public Works.
Yeah, I emailed Public Works and we're gonna stop by and pick up stuff in the morning. But
Perfect.
thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No, Linden Street.
No, it's.
Oh, that's another one. Oh, yeah.
Holland Way.
Oh, yeah.
Holland.
Brentwood Road from the bridge that crosses that Little River all the way out to Greystone, forget the next, yeah, anyway, it's, yeah, it's, Anheuser-Busch would be proud, it's the Bud Light can capital of the world. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No shortage of opportunity, yeah.
I had a few spots in mind too, and I just wanted to see if there were other ones that I was missing. So I appreciate that.
Thanks in advance for taking folks out to do that, so that's wonderful. Other business.
I did have one thing to share. UNH right now is having a series on carbon capture, carbon sources for, and sinks for forestry. And so it's a whole series of workshops for over the next few months. I'd be happy to share that with the committee if that's something that you're interested in.
Very much
I
so.
did register for the first one, which is just a general overview. It gets more technical down the road, kind of geared toward large land trusts and establishing coalitions to use forestry as a carbon offset. But so I don't know that we're there, but at least the general topics earlier on might be of interest to the group.
That'd be great, that'd be
Yeah.
wonderful.
I had a side question about Swayze Parkway. I know we voted on it as a town. Does anybody know when? How long that,
It's still.
It's still being
legal.
it's still legal?
Mhm.
Okay. So I was wondering when you're driving by the
Which
other
was
day.
part of the warrant article. I mean, voters knew it was gonna, it has to go through the legal loopholes.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I was just wondering where that,
In fact, I just checked last week.
thank you.
If no one had any other ones, I had a question. We talked a little bit offline earlier about committee term length and process. And I thought for viewers at home and for everybody on the committee, because it is a little bit of a mystery unless you're really kind of into it and fully understand it. And I think a lot of the committee members, this may have been, it was my first committee. And so, and it was also a newly formed committee. So the draft of the first committee members, it was its own unique process. I was wondering if, Nico, you could walk us through how this and all committees, advisory committees in this town, not only how they recruit and sustain and pull in new members and so on.
Sure. So you've got a 7-member committee, 7 voting member committee, that, if you have any openings, then, you can apply to be on the committee through the town manager's office. They come before the select board for an interview, much like all of you folks did. And then we would appoint for a 3-year term or the length of the term if they were replacing somebody. Typically, around this time, it's usually the May meeting, committees and boards on an annual basis will have a discussion whether they want to reorg the officers. Some do not, because of the numbers, they just don't have, they don't have a full committee, or they've got, vacancies and whatnot. But most committees will every year, every other year, reorg the officers, chair, vice chair, and clerk. It kind of keeps it fresh a little bit. It also allows some folks to take on, if you've done the clerk, you might chair for a year, chair for the clerk, or it just keeps it fresh. So most committees do that. Certainly, the makeup of this committee, I think at least half of you, or close to half of you, came on after the original 7-person committee. So to take a look at the mission statement and everything that's on the website, if you feel that at this time you want to take that next step, I know I've had the pleasure and privilege of being the select board rep since day one, so I've watched this committee grow and really, in the last year, do some really great things to move this town towards being more sustainable. And I think bringing Dave on, as we did, and certainly having Kristen now,
Yeah.
that really was the original goal
Yep.
of the committee. So, you now have, a staff member that is, a good chunk of time is gonna be towards this. I think maybe taking a look at the mission statement and the charge again, maybe you wanna revise it.
Yeah, I think the charge had a very strong tilt to getting to where we are
Correct.
now,
Right.
exactly, and it might be time to update that.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
That's something you could have as an agenda item, and you can talk publicly about it, and then, much like you did when you first started out, you work on a draft. You just have to be careful, and I know Adam, we talked before the meeting. I don't do it to be, to get in the way, but we have to be mindful of 91A laws. So like
Yep.
when you're emailing, it really, everything should go through Kristen because she's not on the committee. And much like with the select board, the town manager can just, send out emails because, you're not, the whole replying to all, really can get dangerous, so.
Yep, agreed.
Maybe have an open discussion at your next meeting, or whenever you feel
Yep.
it's appropriate, and then you can always form a subcommittee to work offline, and that might not be a bad idea, you can work with Kristen.
That's how a lot of the deeds are reviewed and crafted, like some of the language stuff, it really is so much, because it's helpful for me, because I have someone else to bounce the language off of, and then we can bring a document back to the committee that really kind of reflects the committee, at least one member of the committee's thoughts, or one or two. As long as that subcommittee's not quorum, we're safe, so.
that makes great sense. All right, I'll see about adding that to the next thing, at least to kick it off and get it started, and maybe put it up for an opportunity to get a subcommittee going to just review the charge, and that'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
And I said it before we were officially in a meeting, but just my perspective from the Conservation Commission, it does make a stronger committee when you
Yeah.
do rotate roles. It's no disservice to one member or relieving someone from a horrific duty of minutes. It's really not that. It's just, it builds for a broader, stronger committee because people do come and go. And so you really want multiple committee members familiar with a variety of roles.
That's true. That's wonderful. Cool. Any other items? Any other business? Then, if there's nothing else, can I entertain? Can someone give me a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It is 7:48 p.m. On the 3rd. We're going to close the meeting. Adjourned.
Well done.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.